Let me be real with you for a second. There are people watching this video right now who have enough money to retire today. Not next year. Not after one more raise. Today. And they're still going to work tomorrow morning. They're going to set that alarm, drink that coffee, walk into that office, or log onto that computer. And the crazy part? It has absolutely nothing to do with money. Welcome back to Senior Pulse US, the channel where we cut through the noise and talk about what retirement in America actually looks like. Not the brochure version, but the real, raw, honest truth that most financial advisors won't sit down and tell you face to face. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now because we talk about things on this channel that will genuinely change how you think about the next chapter of your life. Now let's get into it, because what I'm about to share with you is something that retirement counselors, financial planners, and even your closest friends probably haven't been straight with you about. The number one reason people don't retire when they financially can is not math. It's fear. And not the fear you'd expect. It's not the fear of running out of money, though that's real and we'll touch on it. It's something deeper, something quieter, something most people won't even admit to themselves when they're staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning. It's the fear of disappearing. Think about that for a moment. You've spent 30, 40, maybe even 45 years building an identity around what you do. When someone asks, "So, what do?" you have an answer. A confident answer. One that carries weight, that earns respect, that tells the world you matter, you contribute, you belong somewhere. And retirement, as wonderful as it sounds on paper, threatens to erase that answer entirely. Suddenly, you're not the regional manager. You're not the senior nurse. You're not the engineer or the teacher or the contractor who built half the buildings in your county. You're just retired. And for a lot of Americans, that word feels less like freedom and more like being erased. Researchers at the Institute of Economic Affairs found that retirement increases the likelihood of clinical depression by 40%. 40%. And the risk of having at least one diagnosed physical illness jumps by 60% in the years immediately following retirement. These are not small numbers. These are life-altering statistics that nobody puts on the retirement planning brochure sitting in your HR department. Here's a story that puts it into perspective. A man, 67 years old, spent 32 years as a firefighter in Ohio. Decorated, respected. He knew every person on his crew by name, their kids' names, their anniversaries. He retired with full pension benefits, his wife by his side, a lake house they'd been dreaming about for a decade. And within 18 months, he told his doctor he felt like a ghost. His words. A ghost. Still walking around, still breathing, but invisible. Nobody needed him anymore. There were no more calls, no more briefings, no more sense that what he did today kept someone alive tonight. The money was fine, the lake was beautiful, but the purpose was gone, and without it, the man was slowly disappearing from the inside out. Now I want you to sit with that, because that story is not unique. It plays out in suburbs and small towns and big cities all across America every single day. And here's what makes it so painful. Nobody talks about it. People save for decades. They do everything right financially. They hit their number. And then they freeze. They find reasons to keep working. One more year, one more project, one more milestone. And underneath every one of those reasons is that quiet, terrifying question that they cannot bring themselves to ask out loud. Who am I if I'm not this? But here's where Senior Pulse US is going to flip this entire conversation on its head, because there's another side to this story. And it's one of the most powerful things I've ever come to understand about retirement in America. The people who thrive in retirement, and I mean genuinely thrive, the ones who are healthier, happier, more mentally sharp, and more socially connected than they've ever been. They didn't retire from something. They retired towards something. That is the entire difference. That is the whole secret wrapped up in 6 words. They didn't just leave a job. They walked into a life they had already started designing. They knew what Tuesday morning was going to look like before they handed in their badge. They had community waiting for them, purpose waiting for them, structure that they built themselves instead of structure handed to them by an employer. Here's what that actually looks like in the real world. Studies from the Harvard Study of Adult Development, the longest-running study on happiness in history, found that the single greatest predictor of a fulfilling later life is not wealth, not health, not even genetics. It is the quality of your relationships and your sense of purpose. That's it. That's the whole formula. And the beautiful thing is, retirement done right gives you more time to invest in both of those things than any other season of your life ever could. People who retire successfully often report that they are busier than they were when they were working. But the difference is, they are busy on their own terms. They're volunteering, they're mentoring, they're picking up woodworking or photography, or writing the book they've been putting off since 1987. They're spending real, unhurried time with grandchildren. They're traveling not because they have a week of vacation, but because Wednesday is just as free as Saturday now. They wake up and the day belongs to them completely. And once people figure out how to fill that day with meaning, they look back and wonder why they ever waited. Now, I want to talk to you directly, especially if you're sitting somewhere in your early to mid-60s, reading your retirement account balance and feeling this strange paralysis you can't quite name. Here is what I need you to hear. The fear you are feeling is not a sign that you're not ready. It is a sign that you care. It means you are someone who finds meaning in contribution, in showing up, in mattering to the people around you. That is not a flaw. That is one of the best things about you. But that part of you does not have to die when your career ends. It just needs a new address. The question is not, can you afford to retire? For a growing number of Americans who have done the work and hit the benchmarks, the answer to that question is already yes. The real question is, have you given yourself permission to believe that your worth as a human being is not attached to your job title? Have you let yourself imagine, in vivid detail, what a meaningful, connected, purpose-driven retired life actually looks like for you specifically? Because until you answer those questions, no bank balance in the world will feel like enough. Senior Pulse US exists because these are the conversations that matter, not just the 401k numbers, not just Medicare enrollment deadlines, but the real human stuff, the identity stuff, the fear stuff, the stuff that keeps smart, capable, financially ready Americans sitting at desks they're ready to leave because nobody told them it was okay to go. So here is your assignment before you close this video. Write down 3 things you would do with your first free Tuesday if you retired tomorrow. Not what you should do. What you would actually do if the day was completely yours. And then ask yourself, honestly, why you're not already moving toward that life. If this video made you think, if it cracked something open for you, share it with someone you love who's wrestling with this same question. Leave a comment below and tell me what's really holding you back, because this community at Senior Pulse US is one of the most thoughtful and honest on the internet. And your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. I will see you in the next one. Don't wait too long.